Hey, so this is a video I wanted to do on the topic of the death of content. I just did a tweet I'm going to read for you here in case you haven't seen it. It goes, content creation is a fad and the assumed personas associated with it are already feeling dated. So I just want to expand upon that. So when I'm talking about content, I just want to be clear. There's a usage of the word that is the most prevalent use of it, which is it's just a catch-all for everything. So people would consider the films that I make content, or they would consider anything content. Content has become this catch-all phrase for making anything, whatever you make. That used to be the word media, that used to be entertainment. There are words here and there that just mean everything. It used to be art, used to be, whatever it is. Anyway, so content in actuality, what content really is a homogenization. So it's a way of doing things more than it's things being done. So it tends to have certain tropes and certain personas associated with it that kind of get in the way of its use as a word that actually means everything. Does that make sense? So my films aren't content. Mona Lisa, not content. Fox News, not content. Anything that you can think of isn't content except for the things that conform the most to what content actually is in practice. So content in theory versus content in practice is really what we're talking about here. So content in theory, not really that useful as a term because we have media. We understand that as a thing. So it's not actually helping us. What it is doing is it's obfuscating the homogenized aspects of what people are making these days. So you can use the word content, right? You can say, hey, I'm a content creator or whatever. But that isn't really saying anything. Much like if I'm making films and the vast majority of my time is spent making films and I say I'm an artist, I'm not actually being specific. I'm being truthful to a certain extent because I am making art, but somebody comes away from that conversation thinking, oh, does he make paintings? Does he, what does he mean by that? Is he a performance artist? Is he a musician? Whatever. It's unspecific. So if I say I'm a filmmaker, people understand, oh yeah, he makes films. When you say you make content, really people understand that you make TikToks, Instagram, whatever is the du jour version of that, because apps come and go in popularity and whatnot. When Vine was around, people might think, oh, he makes Vines, perhaps, or YouTube. YouTube is the predominant thing. People would think you're a YouTuber. Anyway, so content creation, I see as a fad. And what I mean by that, I'm not talking about like pogs. I'm not talking that literal, an idea of fad. What I mean is that there are waves to these things, and much like bell bottoms go out of fashion, or the 60s in general goes out of fashion, the 70s in general goes out of fashion, and then comes back, and then goes, retro. We all understand the concept of these peaks and valleys of popularity. Content creation is kind of on its way out. Not a profound statement for me to make, but it's on its way out. And I'm going to use an example of why it's on its way out. The rise in popularity that Dax Flame in particular has experienced lately, what he does is he takes a satirical approach to content creation. He's causing people to see content in a new light. His videos are funny and they're addictive and you just want to see his next Instagrams or TikToks or whatever. because you like him and you like the persona and you like the energy and you like that, but you're also addicted to the critique. I would put him in the category of a writer like Terry Pratchett. Would be a great example, who I wasn't too familiar with. I mean, I knew who he was, but I hadn't really read him until after he died. And then I read Small Gods, and I was like, holy fucking shit. Like, this dude is on another level. Like, the levels and levels and levels of just acerbic, very pointed satire was just unreal. Like, I just wasn't even familiar with how deep you could go with it as a writer until I started reading his work. And Small Gods is just like, holy fucking shit. Like, it's just, it goes there. So anyway, back to Dax. Dax has experienced huge surge in popularity. He's got like over 1 million followers on Instagram, continues getting more and more popular. Bigger and bigger people want to work with him. And, that doesn't happen by accident. That requires a cultural shift, an awakening to a certain extent for something of his nature to become popular. It's not easy to become popular if you're making something good. In fact, it's very difficult because popularity is the reward for conformity a lot of the time. Homogenization, and we're all in this together. If we just believe this lie, we can all succeed. That kind of thing. You see that with crypto. You see that with any kind of new thing. Like, if we all just buy into this exact same delusion or lie or whatever, we will all profit and we will all succeed. It's why content creation, has a certain energy to it, a certain hey guys attitude to it. A lot of the jump cuts that were very popular for a time. It was just like, let's look as much like each other and then we could all benefit. Not realizing that like the human brain and the human heart kind of maxes out a certain amount of people of a certain type, in pro wrestling. Like, I love every pro wrestler that exists just because I love pro wrestling, but we only have room in our heart for a certain amount of guys at a certain amount of time, a certain period of time. So like, so-and-so becomes the guy that you want the belt to go on or whatever. And then stories change, and then it's like, you know what? I want to see the belt on this other guy. That's kind of how popularity is. That's kind of how these things go. So 100,000 people making videos all in the same way, there really is only going to be a couple that are massively successful, a couple people like that who are doing that. So why is Dax popular? I don't really want this video to be about Dax. It's just he's a good example of the cultural paradigm shift that I'm describing when I say that content creation is a fad. I'm reading the tweet again, and the assumed personas associated with it are already feeling dated. So Dax's popularity is directly in line with that because he is parodying, he is satirizing the idea of content in general and the idea of a particular type of content, which just doesn't make sense and never really did make sense. It's just a way of doing things that became the way of doing things. So he flies in the face with that, and that could mean 10 subscribers or that could mean 1 million subscribers / followers. Right now it means 1 million followers. He's always been doing satirical stuff. He's always been pointing out weird modes of creation. He's been doing that for years. He's been doing that for maybe over a decade, I guess now. So why now? And obviously he's experienced versions of popularity, early YouTube, etc. Why is the stuff he's making right now taking off so much? It's because it's a truth that people want to be recognized. It's not a truth that feels early. A lot of times I'll talk about things that feel early, and I talk about them anyway just because they're true. I point out certain things about the way film is going and what indie means and what it doesn't mean. The fact that the word independent is used erroneously, mostly. The fact that A24 is $1 billion company, yet you go on Wikipedia, it says it's an independent film studio, which is just preposterous. Like we can't even play that game. That's stupid. I point out things early, fine, whatever. That's not necessarily going to be rewarded unless it's what everybody else is completely ready for. Now, bring it back to Dax. He's parodying the idea of assumed persona, and he's shining a light on the assumed personas of content creation, because his persona is something that flies in the face of all that. So there's a type of person that you expect to be making these type of things, and that kind of glosses over the formulaic nature of what's being created. The games that he'll play with people or whatever. You assume a Mr. Beast type, or you assume more engaged type, and that kind of covers up the seams to a certain extent, because it just kind of distracts you, I would say, from the formulaic nature. And so I would say that, we're entering a new phase. He would be proof of that, of what people want in this world. As we end 2024 and we go into 2025, there is a shift happening. It's not just political. It's not just a new president on the horizon. That's a part of it, sure. But this is beyond politics. This is a cultural shift. We are headed out of content creation. We are headed out of the tropes and the personas associated with content. And that's a good thing. It's a bad thing if that's your whole MO. If you really think that you need to be all hey guys about shit, and you don't know who you even are, other than that, you're gonna have a hard time next 4 years, 8 years, beyond. Because I really do think we're headed out of it. I think we are seeing the death of content as we have experienced it. So the same personas are going to feel dated real fast, because things go like that. They already feel dated. Otherwise, Dax wouldn't be popular right now. We're tired of seeing the same types, the same people, the same everything. We want something else. And so, that's the shift that's happening. It's just fads go away at the drop of a hat. And so what would my advice be going forward? I would say, if you are making something that you truly believe in and that you are doing regardless of popularity, and that feels like authentic to you, you're going to be fine, whether or not you're popular or not, because you withstand, by definition, the peaks and valleys of fads and that sort of thing. 1 second. So beyond that, if you're starting a content channel today, it should not be what a content channel has been like past 4 years or whatever. It should be something else. But like I said, you have to do what's truthful to you. The beauty of that is, much of content creation over the past 5 to 10 years has not been authentic to the people that even do it. People aren't like that. You're putting on a clown mask to a certain extent in order to do it, right? So clown masks kind of out, I would say, in this area. Certain clown masks you will always be able to get away with. I would say they're out in this realm of things. I can only speak to my own familiarity. I can't tell you where music's going, but I can tell you where film is going. We're still very early when it comes to truly independent film, folk film, etc. I think anybody else would agree with that in that space. So that's something that you can still get in on and be your authentic self. And I don't think I make content. I don't think Joel thinks he makes content. I don't think Dan thinks he makes content. I don't think anybody else in the space thinks they make content. If they do, they might be using the term incorrectly, like I said at the beginning. It's not a catch-all. It has a specific meaning. Yes, it can be used as a catch-all. Yes, content can mean film, TV, whatever. But that's horseshit, Do you understand that? Like we're giving it this out that it doesn't deserve. It hasn't earned that out because so much of what it is in practice is just fad, conformity, horseshit. So content as a term, I don't think it's going to last forever. I don't know what. I think if I were to predict the future, I think it's just going to be delineated a bit more. I think film will be film, news will be news. These are sense-making words. I don't think it's fair to put everything under the same umbrella. I think that's a delusion that occurs when we feel the need to, we need a new word to put everything under one umbrella of. And it's like, well, we tried that with media. We tried that with art. There's the downsides of it are too vast because they are subsets, really. Content is a subset, and we're using it as a set. Hope people understand what I mean by that. So when you get into when you get into like behavioral science and you get into cognitive biases and you get into that level of thing, they talk about how one of these biases that occurs in people is that they will confuse a subset for a set. So a subset will be so convincing that you'll forget that it's a subset. So kind of like imagining, this is going to be a weird example, but imagining a white person, right? You might go too far with it. You might imagine blonde hair, blue eyes. You know what I mean? Like whatever image you imagine might be a smaller percentage of what the actual thing is. Because like brown hair is obviously more prevalent than blonde hair. But if I say just imagine a white person, you might go too far with it. That's what I'm talking about cognitively when it comes to subsets. You imagine something that's rarer than is actual. I hope that makes sense. This is like so in the weeds. Like you actually have to read about this stuff to understand what I'm talking about. But it's a typical thing. And that's what happens with content. So because we're using a subset as a set content, even though we use it as a term for everything, this giant umbrella, when I say content, you have a specific image that's more oriented with the modern app uses and expressions associated with it. Yeah, so that's all I'm saying here. I don't know. I hope any of this was usable or interesting. But, coming at the end of 2024, thinking about 2025, thinking about Dax's success and what that means. I love his stuff. I've always loved his stuff. I would love him whether it was me and 2 people watching or me and 2 million. Same with Joel. Same with anybody I like. I'm not, and this is a rarity, I'm not somebody who cares about popularity when it comes to what I like. I wish more people were like that, but wishes are whatever they are, Yeah, so I don't know, leave your thoughts. I can answer things in the comments or whatever. I don't know. Yeah, I don't even think this video is content. I think I'm just talking. I think we're just having a discussion, whatever. I'm doing this on my crappy webcam on my laptop, which is like 15 years old. And I'm doing that to take you out of what you typically look at, right? That's a deliberate choice. I'm hearkening back to old school YouTube to a certain extent. It's like, yes, I'm using an iPhone as a microphone, which kind of is anachronistic to a certain extent, but I'm just trying to put you in a different headspace for when we have these talks. I did one week or two ago. I'll probably do these now and again. This one's running a little long. I don't know if this is interesting to you. It's just something I was thinking about, the death of content. All right. So yeah, my prediction going forward, content by the wayside. Sorry if you love it. Sorry if you like that hey guys shit, but it's going by the wayside. It's already feeling out of date, in my opinion. And that's backed up by fact. Dax's popularity, I would cite, is the best example. All right. See y'all later. Peace. Hope everybody had a good holiday, whatever your holiday was. And see you soon.